The Prophecy Dungeon has recently been updated to have some amazing new weapons with great perks. So in this video, I'll show you how to solo the entire dungeon, whether you've run the dungeon 100 times with a team or have zero experience at all. I will also give tips for getting solo flawless while using only weapons that everyone has access to. Doing this solo will give the bunny ghost, and without dying, we'll unlock an exotic sparrow and this amazing emblem. If you're new to the channel, I'm Marshix and I make Destiny 2 guides for solo players. If you enjoy, help me out by leaving a like on the video. I will only be using weapons that can be obtained from guaranteed sources like quests, the exotic kiosk in the tower, or focused umbral engrams. Start by loading up the Prophecy Dungeon from the tower directory. This is 1100 power, so you can use just about anything without going under the recommended power level. Also, make sure you have concussive dampener on your chest piece because there's a lot of splash damage throughout the entire dungeon, and that will make it a little bit less of a threat. The first part has us gathering light and dark motes and using them to open doors. You can get the motes to drop from killing the knights. If your character is standing in the light when you kill one, the knight will drop light motes. If you're standing in a shadow, knights will spawn dark motes. If you're not sure which part you're standing in, there's a visual effect around your screen letting you know whether it's light or dark. Once you pick up 5 of the same mote, you'll get a large mote that you can use on the beams of light by the door. Light goes with light, and dark goes with dark. It will be like this for the rest of the dungeon. Since the knights only drop 3 motes each, you'll need to kill 2 of them for each type of mote. So go ahead and get the motes for each of the beams of light, and the door will open. Then you just need to do the same thing for the next room. Your loadout doesn't matter too much for this section, since it's mainly teaching you the mechanics for the rest of the dungeon. Follow the boss up to the real first encounter. Alternatively, you can skip the entire first section by jumping up this first hole and climbing up. It's easiest to jump, sword swing, bunny hop, then spawn a sparrow and drive it up. Near the top, strafe to the left and hop off. Next, jump across to the center platform. For this next part, you need to do the same thing as before with the motes. This time, there are 4 of those beams of light that you need to bank at. There will also be a Phalanx boss shielded in the middle of the platform. Just as before, you need to gather the motes from knights and use them on each of the beams. This will drop the boss's shield and allow you to damage him. Some things you need to know before starting this: you need to try your best to avoid line of sight with the boss, or else he may push you off into the abyss. There will be a lot of taken scions during this fight, and they can get quite annoying if you don't kill them fast enough. That's why we're running Risk Runner. The scions and the boss can deal arc damage, so you'll almost always have its perk active. This comes from the Risk Reward mission that you can unlock after the first few new light missions. Whenever you take arc damage, this weapon will chain lightning and constantly regenerate ammo for a short time. You also get damage resistance from arc while you're holding it, so this will help keep you alive during the encounter. Risk Runner will quickly take care of all of the small enemies, and it's not terrible against the knights either. One other trick you can do with this, once you have the perk active, shooting the boss, even while he's shielded, will chain the lightning to the other nearby enemies. The other weapons we're using are the ignition code with blinding grenades, which comes from the season of the Splicer umbral engrams, and I'm also using falling guillotine, but really any normal sword will work here. Blinding grenades will help control the knights while you're taking out the scions and enable you to safely change positions to get a specific type of mote. The sword will mainly be used for damage against the boss, but it can come in handy if you happen to get pushed off by the boss. For subclasses, Warlocks run Well of Radiance, Hunters run Bottom Tree Tether for invis grenades, and Titans run Bubble. Try to save these for damage, but being that you can't die, feel free to use these whenever you need them. So once you've gathered enough motes, you'll start damage phase. Drop your super directly on the boss, whether it be Well, Tether, or Bubble, and go to town with your sword. There will be taken goblins trying to protect the boss, but if you're in your super, you should be able to still damage the boss despite being shielded. You can 1-phase this if you optimize it, but to be safe, I would recommend aiming for a 2-phase and not taking any unnecessary risks. Get them as low as you can and simply clear ads and continue banking motes. This encounter will take some practice because it does get very hectic at times, so don't be upset if this kills a few of your runs. Once defeated, claim your loot and go down into the Wasteland. This next section is easy, but first, follow the path that I take to get a free chest. This will only drop any gear that you have already unlocked from this dungeon. Continuing on, there will be 3 taken blights that spawn at one of the locations in the Wasteland. All you have to do is destroy the blights, then move to another set, destroy those, and then destroy a third set. To be extra careful, you should clear out all of the enemies before jumping into the blights, and also watch out for giant invisible minotaurs that wander around the area. After destroying each set of blights, you'll have to walk to the middle part where Toland is to spawn the next set of blights. After all 3 sets are down, locate the wall that has a purple light coming from it and go into that. This next encounter will have you go inside of a cube. you need to rotate the cube to whichever side Toland tells you to. Toland being the white wisp hanging around the circles on the wall. So you need to find where he is and look down. Below each side, there is one of those beams of light. Determine whether it's light or dark below Toland, and just like before, gather the corresponding motes and use them where it tells you to. Step into the center of the room to rotate to the next side. Each time you enter a room, there will be 2 sets of acolytes that spawn and 2 snipers. Killing those snipers will spawn the knights that drop motes. So basically, kill the small enemies, kill both snipers, and then kill the 2 knights. Ensure that they drop the motes that you need to follow Toland. Do this 6 times, and on the final one, you'll need to kill 2 bosses. They have very little health, so about 2 rockets each should kill them. For the loadout, I would recommend the same subclasses for survivability, and I was using Risk Runner again, Succession, but any kinetic sniper here can work. And for my heavy, I had the Ascendancy rocket launcher, which comes from rank 16 with Zavala, Shax, or the Drifter. Risk Runner takes out the acolytes quickly, then one shot with the sniper can take out the hobgoblins. You can take down the knights with whatever you want, but make sure you save about 4 rockets for the end. One thing to note before moving on, there's a decent chance that Toland will spawn on the ceiling at some point. This just means you need to rotate the room 1 additional time in any direction to be able to reach him. Now that you've completed that encounter, claim your loot and head back out the way you entered. Head right out of the door and follow the boss. Enter in and go down the Rainbow Road. I find it easiest to ride your sparrow down until about halfway, then jumping up to this spot with the knight, taking the platforms down and sparrowing again to the final room, which just so happens to have another secret chest. As you enter, it will be on the right side in the corner. Jump back up and take the lift up to the final boss. If it doesn't grab you, just jump and spawn your sparrow a few times. It eventually works. The boss is very much like the other encounters, chaotic. If you found this guide helpful so far, make sure you click like on the video. This time we'll be using the seasonal artifact mod, particle deconstruction. This will make our fusion rifles deal a ton of damage. We will be pairing this with the Cartesian coordinate and sleeper simulant. Cartesian can be focused in the season of the Splicer Umbral Engrams, but if that's not good enough, you can grind out the Null Composure quest. Null Composure and Cartesian are almost interchangeable. Sleeper can be bought from the exotic kiosk in the tower for an Ascendant Shard, an exotic cipher, and a few other materials. Stay tuned for some easy ways to get Ascendant Shards as a solo player. My primary weapon was the Extraordinary Rendition from Season of the Chosen Umbrals, but really most primaries will work here. And just like before, no need to change subclasses because Will of Radiance will keep you safe and is good for damage. Same thing with Bubble, and Invis on Hunter is just broken when it comes to survivability. There will be 1 copy of the boss in each corner of the room. With each one, there will be one of those beams of light. Hopefully you can guess what happens next. Kill knights, gather motes, and deposit them to their respective locations. Each time you deposit a set of motes, the boss on that side will disappear and an ogre will spawn. Take it out with 2 fusion rifle shots and move on to the next side. Do that for each side and the middle will open up for the damage phase. There's not much cover for most of this encounter, but a relatively safe spot to stand will be inside of these circles. The room will spin around after each phase, but most of them have at least one of these circles to stand in. Try to kill the scions as fast as possible to prevent them from splitting and getting out of control. Then move on to the knights. And definitely don't forget to kill the ogres as soon as you bank the motes. Those things will get you killed if you forget about them. Okay, so you've picked up all of the motes and banked them at every spot. This is where you can start damage phase. But you may be low on ammo. To get the most out of your damage phases, you can wait around as long as you need to for more adds to spawn and grab ammo from them. Whenever you're full on everything, drop down and run directly towards the boss. In this arena, you'll need to be close to the boss or else you'll start getting stacks of Dark Entropy, which will kill you whenever you get 10 stacks. The boss will be shooting Taken Captain-like attacks, but instead of these damaging you, they will teleport you backwards away from the boss, which, as mentioned before, being away from the boss will give you Dark Entropy stacks. You can damage the boss the entire time you're in this room. Make sure you're using your fusion rifles and applying particle deconstruction. He will slowly move to the back of the room, and when you reach the end, the phase is over. Try to deal as much damage as possible while moving, but the main thing you should focus on is staying alive. Don't let the snipers kill you, and don't get too far away from the boss. You have as many damage phases as you need, so don't be afraid to sacrifice some damage to keep yourself alive. At the end of damage, feel free to wait around until you get your super back, because you will be dumped right back into a chaotic room with the 3 boss clones in it. Having a panic super is really nice for these rooms. Like I said before, these don't have much cover at all, so try your best to clear ads and bank your first moat to get a boss to move. Bank the rest of the moats just like before to get back to the damage phase. If you get in some good damage, it should be a 2-phase, maybe a 3-phase. And that's just about it. Rinse and repeat until you finish off the boss and get your loot. If you did manage to get this solo or solo flawless, claim your triumphs and get your exotics. Also, let me know down in the comments if you were able to beat this. If you want to get some easy Ascendant shards or any other masterwork materials as a solo player, check out this video. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.